Hey folks, it's Nate. Thanks for joining me once again as we look to the horizon, and I'm back bringing you your weekly writing vlog. It's been a pretty productive week so far. I've spent some time working on the Sidereal Saga, and I have that up to chapter 3, more or less. I'm going to give that an edit probably once I'm done recording this, but it's coming along, and I think I'm really in a good place with dealing with that. I'm taking care of some behind the scenes stuff, all those little writing things, jotting down notes, kind of brushing up on outlines, things like that. We're doing a fair amount of that over the course of this week as well. So that's coming along pretty good. But the thing that I really am interested in right now, that's kind of over the last couple of days really taken over my attention, is something I hinted at a couple of weeks ago. I'm working on, I've always found the idea of a found document story kind of interesting. And I've been playing around with some notions about that for the last couple of weeks. And I finally sat down to do a little bit with that over this weekend. And I did, and it probably took up more of my time than I intended it to, which is okay. Like I said, I have a buffer in my writing schedule for a reason. But, this is something I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to play around with it. I have, for probably the last couple of years, been really interested in what is known as a found document style of storytelling. I was first introduced to this through the SCP files, which is basically a wiki that tells a story about a secret organization that deals with the paranormal, and they do it all through project. Well, the core idea is through secure containment procedures, which is the SCP kind of notion. Actually, SCP officially stands for Secure, Contain, Protect, so it's a little bit different, but a secure containment procedure is a document that explains how you deal with a paranormal entity or a paranormal phenomena in a way that keeps it from being exposed to the outside world. Why it's such a big issue for the SCP to keep these things from the outside world, especially when folklore makes it clear people have known about these kind of things for a long time. There's some different interpretations on that. I'm not really going to get too much into it. What they want to do is they want to keep things from being known to the outside world, and they have these documents that explain how to do that, how to do it for the most part safely, what the costs of not doing it safely would be. There are a lot of records of events and interviews where things have not gone well. It's a very interesting way to tell a story because it gives you an idea of a thing and events that happen around it in a way that is both dispassionate and very intimate. Like some of these transcripts of interviews or recordings of explorations, they really put you on the spot with these people investigating spooky phenomena or dangerous creatures. And I found it very interesting. There's a lot of SCP records out there, and by no means have I seen all of them, especially because it's a initiative done under the Creative Commons. Literally anyone can take it and work with it. So there's a lot of different versions of things, and like there's Russian language and Japanese language databases of these files as well that are very different apparently from the English language version. All in all, it's a very interesting way to tell a story for a number of reasons. One of them is how much it invites the reader to try and get their head into the story. Presents you with documents as if you were a person who's going to interact with this thing that they're dealing with, whichever one it may be, whether it's the shy guy or the very tough lizard or something like that. These are things that the documents address you as if you were going to have to deal with, and you were going to suffer very, very significant consequences if you don't deal with them properly. It's a fascinating way to tell a story. Looking at the SCP files eventually led me to no sleep or creepypasta stories, which are told almost as if they're told on internet forums, almost as if it was a person recounting a story to you around a campfire. Again, a very interesting way to tell a story. And they, again, have this kind of interactive aspect to them. The people who read the stories on these forums and message boards and talk to the person telling the story, and they do talk to that person as if they were a person experiencing these things. There's a sort of illusion that everyone is in charge of maintaining, that these things are real. And at least while you're reading the story, it is something that is in your world and you may have to deal with one. I find all that very fascinating. I've talked before, especially on my other channel where I just talk about storytelling in general, about the story circle and how it's a shared work of creating a story and then iterating on it. And really, I think it breathes a lot more life into the story than if it is just told once and left to stand forever. And I think that's what these kind of storytelling opportunities do. I've always wanted to find something that really spoke to me. How could I do this myself? I've made some attempts at it in the past. I've written down some basic ideas. I had actually a series of fictional letters that I wrote between a sea captain and a person doing research for him, and they would exchange these letters about things they discovered. The sea captain as he traveled the world, and the researcher as he scoured archives, trying to explain the things the captain found. It was it was a poorly conceived idea because I didn't really know what the mysteries they were investigating were. And I think a lot of people jump into this kind of storytelling thinking, well, I'll just find out with the characters. And that's definitely what I did. Maybe some people can make that work. It's not something I could make work, though. And I very quickly spun out trying to write that story. So I've come to have an idea for something a little bit different. So over the weekend, I picked up this very cheap kind of a journal at Myers while I was shopping, and I've started to put together a journal of a person who has lived through a disaster, doesn't know exactly what has happened, and has lost someone important to them. The entire journal is written as a person addressing journal entries to someone they've been separated from. And I know what the disaster was, although the character does. And I know eventually what the fate of the person they're addressing is going to be, how it's all going to play out. So I think I have a better foundation to tell this story than I did my previous attempt at a found document story. What I think would be interesting to do with this is that it takes place, I'm a sci-fi and fantasy kind of a guy. It takes place in a world that is not our own. And I was trying to think to myself, how do I tell this story in a way that creates this story circle that invites people in to engage with it in the way you might see in something like the SCP files or in something like a creepypasta. And I think what I'm eventually going to do once I get this part of it worked out is this will then be framed as something that a person has discovered, maybe in a used bookstore or something like that, and then has to explain. So they will have a framing device around the journal. So that part, I'm going to hammer out the details on that once I have the actual journal done. Because this is a multi-layer story, and I only have one layer of it worked out. I think it's better. I've never done this before, but my instinct is that it will be better to finish the journal and have one layer of the story done and dusted so that I have a firm foundation to build the other layer of the story on. I think if I try and do anything too much more in depth with that while the first layer is still being plotted out, I'll just have to do a lot of revising. But anyway, it's been a very interesting exercise as I've thought about this. Really, I've been thinking about something like this pretty much since I discovered the SCP files. And now having a way to execute on it, I think that really gives me a sense of satisfaction is pretty fun. I think that's why I sunk so much time into that over the last 3 or 4 or 5 days. Well, it's Wednesday now, so almost a week. Yeah, 5 days. Yeah. So 6 days. I was at Myers on Thursday. Um, it's really engaging me right now. I'm really fascinated with it. I'm trying not to let it take over all of my writing. It very easily could, but that's not my goal right now. Yeah, that's everything I've been working on. Clearly, if you've been paying attention to this vlog, one thing has been heavier on my mind than anything else. I'm trying to keep it all in the air right now. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. There's a like button and a subscribe button down there. You can use those as you see fit. I'll talk to you later.